Okay, this is the card dealing web app mini project. I'm going to go over this with you so that you know kind of what to do, some steps along the way, and then I'll let you take a look at it and work on it on your own. Okay, this is the code. This is the HTML code. It's the main file for this. It's not real long. Okay, it does have an associated JavaScript file that goes with it that makes the shuffle work. Okay, you do need that for this particular thing. You shouldn't need to change anything in here, so just leave it alone. Just make sure that when you do get this zip file and you extract all the files out of it, that JavaScript, that .js file, stays right with this HTML file wherever you put it. And the images that it needs all need to stay together so that it'll work. Okay, so again, you can look at this. You can see how the randomization is working to shuffle the cards. I'm actually using a second array, and we'll talk about that in just a sec. Okay, all right, so that's the code. This is what the page looks like in the browser. It's got a back of the image for the cards, and then it will randomly switch each card each time you click the switch card button. Okay, so that's what's going on, and we'll talk about these pictures here in just a second. So let's look at the criteria for this. Okay, and the first criteria is all card images changed out for new ones. I need them all changed out. So I've got 10 cards here from ace to 10, and I need a new set of card images for this. So I have used sort of a silly little dinosaur image for actually my suit. In this case, it's a little green T-Rex, and I had 4 suits of dinosaurs for this. I've only got 1 in here for this project for you. Okay, but you could choose to use the standard suits, clubs, hearts, diamonds, or spades if you want to. You can find images for those, or you can find something unique. I'm sure there's lots of unique card images out there that you can find and use. Okay, all right, so let's look at the second criteria, and that is actually I need 2 suits of cards. Okay, so changing out the images is definitely part of what's going on here. To know where to change the image file names out in the code right here. I've got a load card array function. It is called from the onload attribute of the body tag in the HTML section. Okay, in the body tag. Okay, load card array, that's it right there. And you are naming your card image names right here. Whatever they download as, you don't need to keep that name. You need to rename them so there's something that you can use right here. It's very important in your naming of the cards, okay, to use numbers this will make it the easiest for you to solve this little assignment, okay, this little mini project. So use numbers in the names of your cards however you decide to name them. You're also going to need to include the suit name in order to differentiate from one suit, like the number 2 card from one suit to another. Okay, so those are important. You're also, of course, have to have the extension, whether they're GIFs or JPEGs or PNGs. Okay, all right, so that's important that you name these right and name them well and keep them organized. Okay, so looking for that. All right, let's look at the next criteria. Rename. We just talked about that. Rename the card image files to fit what you need for your suits of cards. Okay. All right. Number 4. There's one card in this batch of images that shows the back side of the card. Make it so when that card is dealt, a message pops up. So I want to see this when that card gets redealt again. Okay. I want to see a message pop up. Now it can be an alert. It can be a div. I'd kind of like to see a div here that says something, hey, special card, this is a special card. Okay, that's what I'm looking for on this at this point. All right, so looking for that. Let's go to the criteria here. All right, so actually let's explain that just a bit in the switch card function, which is the main activity of the whole project. Okay, in here you're going to need something that is like a little if statement that says if a certain card is chosen, if you need a way to find it, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. Okay, so hang in there, watch this whole video for this, even if you're not going to do the over 90 part. Okay, this will help you get this section solved for the back of the card's display. So you need to check that card, and then if the if statement is the condition is satisfied, if it's true that it is the back side card image, then you need to show me a div that you need to have a set up div created that has its visibility set to hidden, or its opacity set to 0.0 or something, and then in here in your switch card you would bring that to show. Okay, you would change it from hidden to visible, or set the opacity to 1.0, however you want to do that. Or you can do an alert. If you want to do an alert, you can do an alert. That's probably the quickest thing to get done. Okay, so I can at least see that you did figure that out. All right, let's talk about the high A parts and what we're going to do with that. Okay, so looking at this, the card total over a 90. The card total should add up as you deal each card, each one. It should display a running total on the web page somewhere, as it does. There are a few different ways to handle this. You can read this. Okay. All right. So now we've got a situation where when you click on the cards, this number needs to be tallied up and displayed somewhere. So you're going to need another div set up. Don't forget you need two parts. Okay, you need the div in the body, the div tags. And that'll probably start out as empty or maybe just 0. Okay, and then with either no text or maybe just 0 in it. And then that should change. You're going to need a second part of the div up in the head where you set the position and what background color that little section, that little box might have, how big that's going to be, what font size you want to display this in, that kind of thing. Okay, so you need those two parts. You need the CSS style rule for the div, and then you're going to need the div tags in the body section of the web page. Okay, just to make sure that it is displayed on the web page. Okay, so that's what we're looking for. Now we got to figure out how to tally this. Okay, so this is what I've got set up here. This little if statement is not in your code that you have. I've just got it set up special here to show you an example of how this would work. Okay, this one is going to check. Now I'm depending heavily on these numbers right here, and of course you have an A right here in that same position for the 8s, and you know that's a number 1. You could set that for a 1, but what are you going to do when you get down to the 10? Okay, because that's a 1 also. So I'm using an A right here, ace, okay, for the number 1 card. All right, so I'm handling this. You could use these numbers, but there's a problem because the actual array that we're using to pull the card images from is not the card array, it's the randomized card array. And when we randomize these right here in this function, this randomized card array is no longer in order. You cannot depend on these index numbers to give you any accurate value for what card is actually being held in there, what string is actually for the image is being held in there. Okay, so we're going to have to depend on this randomized card array, and you're going to need this little ability right here. Okay, so look at this. In this if statement, if the randomized card array n, that's the card that I get each time I switch a card. It's right here. Okay, when I randomize the cards running this load card array, the last thing that function does is shuffle the cards. Then I need this n right here because that's going to get incremented up from 0. Okay, I believe it's set to 0 initially. It is, and it gets incremented right here at the bottom of this little switch card function. So it's just going to go through the same order once they're randomized. Okay, you need that n. Okay, so in this little if statement, that whichever card I'm using, if this is a function that's built into JavaScript, okay, for strings. This is a string because these are strings, okay, and that's what's in these elements. Okay, so I'm checking out this string.charAt, that built-in function char at the 13th position in this array, in these arrays of letters, individual letters. Okay, so look at here. for this number 4, let's just take this number 4. That's position 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That 4 is the 13th element in that array of letters. Okay. Now we don't need to do anything with that array. For this, you barely need to know that this is an array of letters inside of this. This is like an array of arrays. Okay. So, but if that 13th letter, that 13th element, that 13th letter across that string is a 4, okay, then alert, hey, it's a 4. I want that to pop up. Now, I'm not going to do the rest of this for you, okay? You need to set up a variable like a score variable. It needs to be global, independent of any function, not inside of a function. Var score equals 0 to start with, okay? And then you're going to get, you're going to have to, you're going to have to add to that score equals score plus 4 or whatever this is, okay? Score equals score plus 5. You're going to need a series of if statements. You could do this in a switch case, okay, as well. Might be quicker, might be a little less code maybe, okay? But if you want to use if statements, that's fine. You need a series of them, 10 of them, okay, to accommodate each one of the cards for the scores that they would accumulate or add to the score total, okay? But that's how that's going to work. And you'll be able to tell if this is a 4, and you'll know to add 4 to the score inside this if statement. You'll have a series of if statements here. This would be opened up. Okay, so let's run this. I want you to be able to see this work. And I'm going to save it. And here we go. Let's see if we can get this to run. And then you're pretty well good to go for this. Okay, switch card. Let's see if we can get to the 4. There's the 4. Okay, so it produces the alert before it displays, but once the alert is done, I've got a 4 right here. Okay, so that's working pretty good. Let's check out the last criteria. The backside card should subtract 5 points from the total when it is displayed. So all that's going to be is when you do detect you've got the backside card, and it is the last card in the randomized array. It's not even part of the randomized array. It's when you get to the end. When you're greater than or equal to the length of the randomized array, okay, and if you're equal to it, you're past it because it starts with 0, okay, then this would be done in here. This resets the number of card back to 0. It's just going to resequence through the same randomized sequence of the shuffled cards, okay, but you would add something else in here. And it's going to be score equals score minus 5. That's what I'm asking for right here. Subtract 5 points. Score equals score minus 5. And not only do you need to put that in there, but you're going to have to write that to the div. So don't forget, when you create a score div, okay, and you set that up, you're going to have something that says document.getElementById, score div, inside the parentheses. Remember, you've got to use that dot enter HTML. Right? It would be a to write to the score div. You're going to have to use a line of code called document.getElementById, and you maybe name it score div dot enter HTML. Okay, I'm going to put it right here just so you see it. Okay, now you'll have to have incremented the score or decremented the score by 5 up here in each function, and then this will be the last line in each function, or not in each function, in each if statement, each conditional statement. Okay, that'll write the score to the score div. Now I don't have a score div, so that's not going to work. I didn't set that up. I'm letting you do that. Okay, so you're on your own from here. Very good.